Before we wrap up this week's edition of Inside Eagle Nation, got a couple of new hires over at the Ted Smith Family Football Operations Building to get to you.
If this is basketball, we got a starting 5 now.
Yeah, we do. And we've got the 5 to come in.
Yeah.
All 10 coaches, on-field coaches, have now been hired for head coach Clay Helton. We'll start on the defensive side since that what was kind of bringing up the rear. Will Harris has been named the defensive coordinator and secondaries coach, has been the DB's coach out at Washington the last 4 years, and a really, really good pass defense out at Washington in his tenure. Spent 2 years as the DB's coach at San Jose State. Went to 5 bowl games in his playing career at USC as a DB. Also spent time with the Seattle Seahawks in their training camp, as well as the Edmonton Eskimos with the CFL. I know that'll perk Ryan Chambers up.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm sure he's watching this.
Eventually.
The thing about Washington's pass defense, not only was it one of the best, it was the best.
Yeah.
Fewest passing yards allowed. They only gave up 6 passing touchdowns all year. They've been known for the last 4 or 5 years as one of the best units in the country of giving up plays of 40 yards or more. This is a chance for Harris to show out, and I think Eagle Nation is really going to enjoy the amount of energy he puts into his defense. This is going to be a really good thing.
Also named the remainder of his staff on the defensive side. Rip Rowan, the defensive line coach, has been the D-line coach or a D-line analyst for the last 2 years at Washington. A Marietta native, so he's got ties to the Georgia area. Was a GA at FAU, a GA at Southern Miss. It's somebody that, again, just fits into the footprint, but has also done it and seen it at the highest level of college football.
And he sounds like he's a D-line coach.
Oh, no doubt.
Especially when his name is one of the moves that a D-lineman uses.
Right. Maybe he patented it. Maybe.
If he did, we can't let him get away.
Also got the linebackers coach and Aaron Schwanz. Defensive analyst at Washington last year. He was an analyst from 2018 to 2020 at LSU under Dave Aranda, who is now the head coach at Baylor, but was part of that magical national championship run for the LSU Fighting Tigers. He's been a GA at Washington, has background in special teams as well, so can have his hands in a couple of different areas. This is one that I really like.
Even though Turner West is the dedicated special teams coordinator, having another set of hands and another perspective to lend, and somebody that was part of a national championship program 2 years ago, I'll take it.
It's kind of interesting. We talked about it when Turner West was hired. He has kind of ties into the linebacker core, and so you've got 2 linebacker guys that are also special teams guys. Yeah. I think that's going to roll really well. On the offensive side for Georgia Southern football as well, Richard Owens just named the offensive line coach and run game coordinator. The last 3 years, the O-line coach at UAB, a former NFL tight end, spent 5 years with the Rams, the Jets, the Vikings, was the tight ends coach at South Alabama, so he knows the Sun Belt Conference, also coached O-line there, and was also the offensive coordinator at UAB for a time, and so he has seen it from a couple of different facets. Going to be the O-line coach and run game coordinator, which we haven't really dove into a whole heck of a lot. You've got Brian Ellis, the offensive coordinator, over everything on the offensive side.
That's your play caller.
Then you've got the pass game coordinator in Ryan Applin, who's going to be the tight ends and inside receivers, and then Richard Owens is going to be the run game coordinator. So it's almost like a VP for the offensive coordinator.
It's the who do I report to kind of deal with each individual part of the offense.
So Richard Owens, the O-line coach and run game coordinator, and just come out in the, last couple hours. Marcus Davis, the wide receivers coach, was the wide receivers coach at Hawaii for a year, a 4-year receiver at Auburn, has had stops at Auburn for player development and offensive analyst, was also the wide receivers coach at Florida State as well.
So that would mean at the moment that the staff is filled, and if there are any changes, those will certainly be reported over the next coming days and weeks. And outside of maybe some support staff we would hear about leading towards spring ball, the next big checkpoint is when cleats and shoulder pads go on and you get your first look at what this program is going to look like when 22 rolls around.
It still blows my mind, and a lot of it, again, goes back to what Coach Helton has talked about ever since he got to Statesboro, that he was using borrowed time. But the fact that you are sitting here December 27th. You have your entire on-field staff already assembled, and a good portion of your off-field staff, support staff. That's huge. because then you go now fully into the recruiting mode, fully into the off-season mode of you don't have to worry about your staff. And again, there are some changes that could happen over the next couple weeks, but it's going to be few and far between. That's not your major focus right now.
The transfer portal is going to pick up. We know that once the season ends. We also know that the February signing period is still out there. Georgia Southern picking up 20 guys in the early period not very long ago, so there's a chance that a couple of more could get signed. And remember, you've got that 7-person waiver in regards to COVID, where if you happen to lose guys because of the transfer portal, you can get up to 32 signed in an individual year. You've still got the transfer portal, and you're going to figure out exactly what the makeup of next year's team is going to look like relative to not necessarily what offense is going to look like, what defense is going to look like, but simply what personnel you're going to have to fill all those spots.
So again, the entirety of the on-field staff is complete for Georgia Southern football. Clay Helton, the entire staff looks like this, with Brian Ellis as the offensive coordinator, Ryan Applin, the pass game coordinator, tight ends coach, and inside receivers. Richard Owens will handle the offensive line and run game coordinator. Marcus Davis, the wide receivers coach. Ephraim Reed, right now, the running backs coach. Will Harris, the defensive coordinator, he will handle the secondary. You've got Rip Rowan, still one of the best names ever, on the defensive line. Aaron Schwann's the linebackers coach. Kevin Whitley, the assistant head coach, and will handle the cornerbacks. And then Turner West as the special teams coordinator. That is your on-field coaching staff for Georgia Southern football.
And I think we mentioned this within the last couple of shows. This is the first true staff overhaul that we've had since 2016.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of new guys, there's a lot of new faces that we're going to have to get in front of, a lot of hands that we're going to have to shake. But by the time that next football season rolls around, and by the way, that's going to be pretty close to our 200th episode.
Ooh.
Give or take. It might be a little off, but
oh, we can make it. We could do 2 episodes in a week.
We're going to be nearing our 200th episode. Our hope is that once the staff is fully in place, we'll be able to use this platform to talk with many of our assistants. We'll get involved with sports information as well, and that way, Eagle Nation, you can get to know them as we get to know them.